Great. Well, I'm going to get started. I'm just going to introduce myself for anybody new here, especially since it's the new year. We might have a couple fresh faces. Um, my name's Jordan Stobie, and I am the executive director for Pandion Music Foundation. And I'm so excited to be here with Kelsey Mitchell today, talking about music supervision and her experience in the industry. Um, I'm going to get started with just a little introduction to Pandion and what we do. We're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit that provides community and skill building opportunities for music creators in Los Angeles and beyond to cultivate long-lasting lives in music. And through free online and in-person workshops and programs, wellness support, and scholarship-based mentorship initiatives, PMF fosters a community where creators from diverse backgrounds and identities have the support, tools, and resilience they need to keep making music in an ever-evolving industry. And for those of you who are regular participants in our workshops, you might notice that there are some changes to our mission. We have expanded and honed in on the community building aspect of our organization starting this year, and are really excited to be offering new programs and continue this workshop initiative, still running these workshops, offering tools for music creators, but with a more intense focus on the community building aspect and collaboration. So we're very excited to be diving into that more this year with all of you. Um, and let's see. It looks like, all right, if anyone wants to put in the chat where you're tuning in from, that would be great. So we can kind of get a better idea of who's here today, where everybody is. Um, and also I'm going to encourage everybody, please ask questions throughout the workshop today because this is a meet and greet. So we're going to rely on you for some good questions. They can be personal, they can be specific, and you just get the chance to chat with Kelsey today face to face. So please take advantage. And I'll give a little background on Kelsey to start off. She's an award-winning music supervisor for entertainment, advertising, and film based out of Los Angeles. Her work in theatrical advertising has won her 4 Clio Awards, as well as nominations for the Golden Trailer Awards and the Guild of Supervisors Awards. Some clients include Universal, Sony, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and Disney. And she also supervises films. Her most recent being The Last Manhunt is now being distributed by Paramount and Saban. Kelsey is currently the director of music at award-winning agency Ignition Creative, following her role as music supervisor at Workshop Creative as well. And yeah, I've read a little bit about your history, Kelsey. I'm excited to talk to you and have hopefully the community here ask some questions. Looks like we've got people from all around: Nashville, Dallas, New York, some LA people, Atlanta. Cool.
Well,
Um,
awesome. Thank you so much, Jordan. And I'm really so down with the mission of the Music Foundation. So I'm really happy to be here, especially like times like these. Community building is like all we have.
yeah.
Particularly speaking to the people who are in Los Angeles or have ties to Los Angeles. It's just been absolutely devastating what's happening, and what is actually coming through is community. And so I think that is so important. So I'm so happy to be here. Happy to provide like 1 hour where we can maybe just talk about music and a little bit of a reprieve from the doom scrolling.
Yeah.
So happy to be here.
Thank you for helping with that. Providing. Great. Yeah, so if you want to give maybe a little more information on like how you got to where you are in your career today and
Oh
what you
yeah.
value the most in what you've learned throughout this journey for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out my career actually in live music, doing booking for a small venue out in LA. No longer, it's defunct now. It's called the Bootleg Theater. And I was in live music for a while, did artist relations for a while. The Live Nations and the AEGs of it all were kind of ruining that world. So was looking to get out. And always had music supervision in the back of my mind, but then realized that music supervision for trailers was a thing that exists and was an actual job. So after a stint at Focus Features on the client side for trailers, I was able to weasel my way in and freelance and work my way in and start from the bottom basically in trailer music supervision and work my way up. I chose the field because it felt the most stable. It is a stable paycheck versus get like a gig work the way you would on films and TV. And the steady paycheck I get from trailer music, is able to sustain me so I could take, passion projects and films that maybe wouldn't have sustained me on their own, which I appreciate. But yeah, the big my focus and why I shifted from live music to music supervision is live music was shifting away from servicing musicians in any kind of real way. It just felt like it was constantly kind of stealing from the artists and the musicians, particularly if you had to work for Live Nation or AEG. It was no longer servicing them in any way. And I wanted to put money in musicians' pockets, honestly, and sync is really the best way to do that. It's like, you're already making music. If we get that music placed, that could pay your rent for a while, and keep you going. It's not the small dividends that you're able to get off of what 70% of merch sales at these venues or whatever. So that's the main reason I switched over. And at Ignition, we work on a wide range of projects from everything from big studio films like Snow White, to smaller budget indies. And I do really enjoy that because the smaller the budgets, the more opportunities I get to make sure that lesser known artists are able to get placed and get payment. And that's what really excites me and being able to make those connections. And the music community is honestly just incredible. So big fan. I love the job and I love being able to place people.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear you work with indie artists.
Oh yeah.
I know a lot of supervisors don't necessarily get the opportunity to do that or just don't focus on that in their career. So that's
Yeah.
very cool. Um, yeah. So what do you think, like, what's the thing you like the most about working with indies other than just obviously giving them the opportunity to maybe make more of an income where they might
Okay.
not have been able to, but is there anything else that you really enjoy?
Well,
Um,
I like working with people who are excited to be placed, to be honest. That's always nice. I'm like, oh, we're all getting something out of this, versus placing Guns N' Roses for the 180th time. It feels like a much more gratifying experience. Also, often when you're working with a smaller artist, they work seamlessly as long as everything is accounted for. Like, if you got your publishing set up and you got your master set up through these like indie places like Terrorbird or Low Profile or something like that, I can get the work done so fast. It doesn't have to go through 8
yeah.
rounds of creative approvals, and then all of a sudden Trent Reznor, says no. Um, so I really enjoy that aspect of it as well. And yeah, ultimately it's to service the product. And if clients are open to using the music that serves the vision the most, then that's just exciting creative work. And I like that the creative gets to live online forever, and that work is out there in the world for people to consume.
Yeah, it sounds like that working with independent artists gives you more of that like creative face-to-face time rather than all that paperwork that I know a lot of music supervisors. I mean, I'm sure there's still a good amount of that for you, but yeah, that sounds like it would be really rewarding and just being able to work with artists and get things done
Yeah,
and make progress with
absolutely.
your projects. Yeah. I read in an article that you did that you really value like DEI work and uplifting like cultures in the projects that you're working on and being
Yeah,
authentic to the stories that are being told.
yeah,
Um, and I really love that. I see that. I've been seeing that more, I think, in music supervisors that I've been researching, which is really great to see. But I was wondering if you could maybe tell a story about when you had a really meaningful project that you were able to work on and in
yeah.
that sense.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. A lot of my work with DEI ends up being more through the Guild of Music Supervisors. I began the DEI committee at the Guild of Music Supervisors in like 2019 or something like that. Just they didn't have one, you know, and the entertainment industry needs more marginalized voices representative in all facets. And I think that people of color should be able to tell the stories of people of color and even through music as well. So what has been really rewarding through that is we've done like a mentorship program. We've done like 3 rounds where we match like working successful music supervisors with people who want to become music supervisors and might identify with a marginalized identity, to see if we can get more of these people in the industry and telling these stories. And that feels great. And I do think as music supervisors, we should, as much as possible, keep in mind the identities of the characters of the people that we're telling the stories about when we are searching for and pitching and ultimately placing music, right? I do think that is important to reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for music that will clear for this amount of money that is from like produced or written by or performed by like a Black artist because our protagonist is like a Black woman going through this and this and this, right? And I do think that it is our responsibility as music supervisors to make that effort everywhere that we can. Whether or not it gets to go through is entirely up to the client, but it is our job to try as hard as we can.
Yeah, that's great. Amazing. Such makes it just more meaningful and real too. It seems like that would just be, I hope that
Yeah.
it becomes the norm for all music supervisors to do that if they're not doing that already.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, amazing. If anyone here is interested in that mentorship opportunity, if that's still running, is that something that's still,
Yeah, so the next round, I mean, I was gonna actually launch the next round this month, but now I'm like, maybe
yeah.
not. Um, but
Cool.
we are right now, like as always, collecting mentors to be in it. And so that's like working establishing actual music supervisors. But the Guild of Music Supervisors Instagram account and newsletter will blast when we're opening up the applications for mentees. And we normally leave the application like that open for like 10 days to 14 days.
Mhm.
And then we close and then we start doing the matching. And it's entirely based on how many music supervisors are willing to be mentors.
Yeah.
Um, I was wanting to do that at the end of this month, but based on what's happening, I might try and push that to the beginning of next month.
Mhm.
We'll see. But the best way to know is just to kind of keep up with the Guild of Music Supervisors because they're the ones that are going to be making that social media push.
Okay, cool. So following their social media if you haven't
Yeah.
already, one who's interested. Yeah, and the newsletter, is that their newsletter or is that something you're sending out?
Yeah, they have a newsletter that you can
Okay,
sign up for. And they
cool.
send it out at least once a month, but they also have like specialty newsletter blasts. So they will likely have to do a dedicated blast when it's time to apply for the mentorship program.
Yeah, great.
So it doesn't get buried in a long newsletter.
Yeah, 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 makes sense. Cool, that's great. I love hearing
Yeah.
about more opportunities like that for our community that they could apply for if it resonates with them. Um, I was wondering if everyone would take a minute to think about, if you don't have it at the top of your mind already, one most challenging thing that you've run into when it comes to your understanding of music supervision slash sync licensing, um, and something that maybe Kelsey might be able to talk about. And it looks like
Yeah,
Brad.
or even if it's a question about the different medias, you know, I've
Mm.
music supervised trailers, promos, ads, films.
Mhm.
But and I have a knowledge about TV and video games. So if it's anything that has to do with different medias as well, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Cool. Yeah, I've some people have asked past workshops because it does seem like there are very specific differences between the medias, so it's good
Yes.
to have an understanding of where your music might fit in the best or how to like kind of target what the areas that will work best for you. I'm gonna unmute Brad. It looks like you have your hand up.
Hi there, can
Hello.
you hear me okay? Hi,
Yeah.
great. Well, first of all, thank you, Jordan, for acknowledging the situation out here in LA. I'm not too far from the Eaton fire and indeed
Mhm.
had to evacuate, and it was pretty harrowing 3 or 4 days. Um, but I'm lucky enough that all I had to do was tear my studio apart and put it back together. And I'm glad I could be able to put it back together. I was so angry. Am I doing this? Why? But then he starts shifting, going, man, I am so happy I'm stitching my studio back together. So you go through these huge emotions, and it was pretty crazy. And I know people that have lost everything as well. So LA will never be the same, but here we are to try to regroup. And so I have Kelsey, thank you for joining us. You know, Ignition Creative has been around a long time. They've been around
Yeah, I
since the
think 22 years. Yeah, long time.
Yeah, so they've survived a lot of changes in the industry. I used to work for Sound Deluxe, and we did some licensing with them. But yeah, when I saw Ignition Creative, I went, oh my God, Ignition Creative! I've got to jump on and say, cool, you guys are doing great.
Yeah.
So so I'm a songwriter, and I work and singer, and I work in LA here, playing around and produce and record my stuff. And it's more in the indie folk, neo folk market. So as far as trailer goes, yeah. But my question is this: I know that people are trailerizing songs. You've got people making trailer-driven songs. So my colleagues make with the sonic intents of a trailer, specifically for a trailer, with all the metrics and edit points and build processes that require a trailer music. You know, I'm not going to be doing that. It's not my lane. But there are companies or people, what I've heard, who take a song, hey, that's a really good song. We're going to trailerize it and utilize it in that capacity as a trailer. What's your thinking on that? Is that a process that you utilize or have heard about, or am I?
Yeah. So when I first started in the trailer music supervision industry, which was a little over 8 years ago, this was less common, you know, doing customizations, trailerizations, overlays, and remixes. It wasn't as common. It was a very once in a while thing. And now it's quite common. And now it's something that the clients are privy to. They kind of want everything to be a little bit customized unless they don't have the budget for it. You know, if you have a limited budget, then you can only take what exists and drop it in. But the clients with the money, they kind of do expect a level of customization to the music. So now that once there's client expectation, then it's something that we have to deliver constantly. And so it started off as us, we just all kind of customized everything with the composers that we had relationships with. And now that people caught on, now people are kind of pre-trailerizing stuff, like they're doing it on their own and pitching songs that way. Sometimes this is very successful, right? Sometimes not so much. It really does have to align with a vision. Like if you're going to trailerize a song, you need to have a clear idea of what that trailerization is for. Like you almost need to be like trailerizing it as if you're thinking about a trailer that already came out for a movie that is already out there in the world. Like it needs to have a clear point of view, or it's not going to be super useful, right? So if you have if you have a song that's kind of like a dangerous rock song, right? And like the story that you want to tell is kind of like this dark, like revenge story of this like lone man who's going to avenge his wife or something, right? Like that's a classic one. Then you would want to make sure that you're telling that story very succinctly and you don't go off onto some tangent. Like I've heard some pre-trailizations that like can't decide if they're action or sci-fi or drama, you know? So it's good to really have a succinct idea in mind when you're trailerizing it, and that is likely going to give you more success. And then I will also say it's cool to have a track, right? If you have a track that you love and you think it's so good, cool. You could also try having some people call it a sync mix or a cinematic mix, kind of whatever kind of mix you want to call it, where everything is just kind of boosted, right? Like your builds are steeper. You know, you have maybe a more intense breakdown than you had previously. Maybe you have an actual full downbeat where there's no sound happening that creates an edit point that wasn't there before, right? And then you can, like that way you don't have to make your songs to be for trailers, but you make your existing songs maybe better for trailers, because above all, we don't want you to like change your creative process and compose something that doesn't mean something to you, because we can't always hear when it's kind of like composed just for the sake of sync and not because the song is telling a story or evoking an emotion. But yeah, they're like, to your question, there are music houses that have teams of composers that specialize in trailers and that are very adept and very good at taking your stems and making them work in a trailer aspect. And those guys, they're out there, they're looking for new music to trailerize, and then they're spitting it into our inboxes. Sometimes it's official, right? Sometimes they trailerize stuff and it's just demo based, like watermarked for your ears only. Sometimes it's in partnership with the labels and it's pre-cleared, pre-approved. That's cool too.
Right. So
Um,
Ignition Creative would take, you pretty much want the trailerized version.
it just depends on the project and it depends on the song, right? Um, like Like I did a trailer for Perry Mason for HBO, and we used a Kevin Morby song, which was gorgeous in its own right. And that's a sourced song from a more middle tier artist. And while we kept most of the song like intact. I did bring on a composer to add some more horns and add some more rises and things like that. Very subtle. Sometimes we call that an invisible lift in trailer music. We call it like a invisible remix, basically, where the average listener isn't going to notice that the song has been changed, but the editor is like, "Oh yeah, very stoked on it." And so that's like something that's like, oh, you had a very light hand too. And I didn't need it to be pre-trailerized because then I could handle and I can make specific what I wanted to be done with it. So that's an example of something, but I mean, I have pitched things that are pre-trailerized, but again, it's just like, how well does the pre-trailerization tell the story?
Right.
It's,
Right.
just like any other kind of sync. It just depends.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up then, for me, for someone who wants to spend his time writing songs and doing the genre that I live in, for I said if I hey, I love Ignition Creative, but I know guess Kelsey's gonna really like this song, and I'm not gonna send you the song. I might be more inclined to work with another producer. Hey Jim, can you trailerize this, make it bigger, larger to catch some people I know in the trailer business to go, hey, this could work, and take that to the next step, whatever that would be. Tell the story, but more sonically, more
Yeah,
driven with the lyrics. Is that the
right.
approach you
Yeah.
want to?
If you have a trusted partner who has like historically been successful with this, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But I would also provide both versions of the song because there's places for things that aren't trailerized, you know. There's I do like when I do rom-com trailers, that's just sync. You're not going to trailerize something for a rom-com trailer or like a cute little indie romance. So I would provide both,
okay,
and
all right,
see where that gets you. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for that,
Yeah, of
Brad.
course.
Great question. And thanks for sharing about your experience in LA. I know it's probably hard for people to talk about right now, but I appreciate it because a lot of people are going through the same thing. So I think it's nice to share.
Yeah,
Um,
this is the first Zoom I'm taking since that time. So
yeah,
I'm
I'm
glad
so
it,
glad that your studio and your home survived. That's
yeah,
awesome.
you really don't want to do anything. You just it's like all this energy of survival, and then you're just tired. You just don't want to. Can I do this? Oh my God, how do I start? Where do I
yeah,
go? How do I get motivated again? I lost 5 days. Oh my God, I lost 5 days in the industry or what I'm doing, and all my calendars blown apart. And so it's good that you guys, Pandion is right there, and here coming to
mm,
this Zoom call kind of meant a lot to me to get back on the horse, so to speak. Right?
I'm glad. Yeah, it's nice to have some familiarity and structure a little bit. Hopefully, we can offer that throughout this month for people that want it. Um, it looks like Jake's got a question. I'm gonna unmute you, Jake. There we go.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Good. How are
Good.
you? Thanks for
Okay.
being here.
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. I got a question for Kelsey.
Yes.
It's been touched on a bit, but so I do a lot of production work for an artist called Kelson,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been having some success in the in-show
Mm,
world, a little bit of
mm,
promo. Aside from that, I do trailerizations, but we just re-signed our publishing deal, and we have a whole catalog there of songs. And now that I've really been working on my trailer chops, I'm hearing new versions basically where I can really go in, even just with the a cappella sometimes, and give them a whole new treatment.
right.
Um, and the publisher, they're all one stop. So the publisher rep their original songs that we wrote, and the publisher rep the publishing side and the master. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. It's their original songs, female vocals, all very dark, cinematic, but to go in there and
Mm-hmm.
give them a trailerization and then send them
Yeah, so
over.
if you is the question that whether or not to do it through these rights holders or to do it on your own, or what is the question?
It will be through the rights holders. My question is
Oh,
basically, I think is that like bringing value to you as a client in terms of it's one
yeah,
stop,
I mean,
the songs are
if you
solid,
if you're
and the trailerization is legit.
yeah, yeah. So there are some companies who are doing that, right? Where they're like, not only do they own the master and the publishing on the track, but they also handle the trailerization. So it is because when you normally license something that's been trailerized, you have at least minimum of three parties. You have everybody that you have to pay for publishing, everyone you have to pay for master, and then everybody that you have to pay for master of the trailerization slash remix
Yep.
slash overlay, whatever. So if if you can make that so all three of those are paid to the same person, that does absolutely simplify matters. It also saves money.
Yep.
So that's good too, absolutely. If you have previously had success in making music for trailers and you know that sound already, then yeah, I mean, the worst that could happen is that you waste a little bit of time, but I do think that it would be a valuable asset for you to have on hand, for you to pitch to certain people who you think would, benefit from those specific mixes. Like, absolutely, especially if those songs on their own are already prime for promos, right? If they're already like doing well, then sure, yeah, boost them. You could also do it in different ways. There's percussive mix. You could
Mm,
do something that has a lot more drums because there's some editors who really prefer that for their
mm,
edited points. Cinematic mix is more like lifted orchestral elements, sustained strings, adding horns, things like that. Or if you want to go just straight trailerizations, then sometimes that depends more on trailer elements, drones, FX, synths, So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you could go. And depending on the song, I think it's absolutely valuable to make alternative mixes of them. Yeah.
cool. And then the stems will be ready to go, and it won't necessarily need any customization after that, or it all goes through some kind of customization process.
So, I mean, ideally, if this was me, then I would want you to be able to make augments as needed. I could be like, hey,
Got
this
it.
is a great started off point, but for this particular project, I need X, Y, and Z, and for you to be able to do that for me. So I think when you are pitching these things, you want to say available for revisions, like no problem, like happy to do that in-house as well, because that could also save a music supervisor a lot of money and time. So, I mean, more often than not, the supervisor's going to want tweaks.
Brilliant. And do you work directly with the composer for that, or do you tend to go through I'm with Peer Music. Would you go through them,
So
or do you go straight to
if
the
Peer
composer?
pitched me one of these songs that has been trailerized by you, I would want Peer in that email to also say, the remixer is available for revisions. And then, just out of like what I think is appropriate, I would always go to the original remixer first to have them do edits versus just taking it and giving it to another composer, because that's kind of like I got to give you a shot first before I give it to somebody else because you remixed it first.
Got
So
it.
that would be my chain of command, is I would first go back to you to do those edits. And if it's not happening, then only then would I start hire another composer on board.
Got it. And then final question is, would you rather be getting a song at a time, an EP at a time, or a whole catalog?
So I'm gonna say a fourth option, playlists, because an EP, unless an EP has the same theme throughout, right? If an
Yeah.
EP has like it isn't jumping all over the place, then great. What's the theme of that EP? But I like things that like are grouped together in a way that is like, I can, if I need something, I can go to this whole group of songs and access it and not have to sparse through happy and sad to get to the drum, you know? Like I prefer things grouped by tone, vibe. You can even be like, oh, here's a group of songs that are upbeat, percussive, like great, just so that I know what I'm getting when I'm opening up that group of songs.
Brilliant. Okay, that answers all my questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks so much. All right.
That's helpful to know, Kelsey. I haven't heard anyone else say, and maybe they have, but I haven't heard anyone say that about the playlists and how to
Oh,
like
yeah.
categorize them. That I imagine that would make it a lot easier on
Oh
your
yeah, because
on your end.
a lot of supervisors are so inundated with emails that sometimes they will use their inbox as a search. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes they'll literally search upbeat percussive and hope somebody sent them a playlist called upbeat percussive. So I think that's something to keep in mind too when you're
Yeah.
writing emails.
Do you use Disco?
I like download off of Disco. I don't keep my library on Disco. I keep my library on my own hard drive, but I think that Disco is a really good resource for music. I also am a big fan of Chordal, Chordal. That one seems to be like very tailored towards trailer music supervisors in particular. The way that it works, I think they're both great services. I just prefer to keep my my music library on a hard drive because I'm very scared of losing it.
Yeah, that's understandable. Locked up and
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
nice. Ken's got a question. I'll unmute you, Ken.
Hey, Kelsey, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Very informative. I had a question. I know you deal with trailer music. Are you ever open to songs at all? And if so, um, any particular genre, pop, country, retro,
Mm.
Christmas, anything in particular?
Yeah, so I think oftentimes people generalize trailer music as like these big productions like Hans Zimmer-esque score. And while that's a lot of trailers, lots of trailers are, like I said earlier, like these low budget comedies where you are using songs and you need lyrics actually to drive the theme and the vibe and the emotion forward. So I'd say that at least half of my work, if not more, is like songs with lyrics, right? And then the rest is kind of score. So absolutely, trailers and promos and everything needs songs with lyrics. And in terms of the genres we need, it is entirely based on the project. When you're looking at promos, you are going to hear a lot more pop. You are going to hear a lot more upbeat rock and things like that. And that's always going to be the case. Electronic vibes as well.
Mhm.
You know, when you're dealing with promos, you're basically like, oh, can you make music that sounds like Sophie Tucker or like maybe
Right.
like a modern pop or something like that, then that's going to be good. And trailers, they vary, you know, because you can open up a trailer on a song that's establishing tone, and that might be any genre, you know. I've even had an entire trailer that I had to do with country music, and I've never had to done that before. You know, I used to say, oh, the only thing that doesn't apply is country music. That's not the case. I had to do an entire movie about horses that was all country music that was affordable.
What,
So it's really, there's a place kind of for everything. It's just based on the project.
what about like retro music, 80s and 90s for period pieces, things like that? Is that
Yeah,
something?
so a lot, what I will say trailer people and promo people do like is when they have access to authentic retro that's one stop. That's often
Yep.
really great for people for openings, for
Yep.
establishing things. People love that.
Okay.
Um,
Great.
and any decade is good. People love when things are grouped by decade and whatever. So absolutely, yeah.
What's the best way to get music to you? I don't like to just send out things cold. I always like to introduce myself. So how does that,
Yeah.
what's the best, so you don't feel, inundated?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a website. I do have a submission form on my website, which
Oh,
I
you
do
do?
for, yeah. And if your stuff is on Spotify, I have a collaborative Spotify playlist has been ongoing for years, that you can just like drag music onto, which I also take as like open submissions as well. Yeah.
What's it, ignitioncreative.com? Is that the name of the website?
My website is here. I'll put it in the
Thank you
chat.
very
It's
much.
kelsey-mitchell.com, and there's a submission form on there.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Amazing. Thanks, Ken.
Good pleasure.
And I'll also share our own Pandion submission link at the end of this call. I might actually ask you, Kelsey, if you have like a specific genre or theme or tone that you're looking for right now that we can share with the group that's here today, and then you are all welcome to share one song with us through that link in that category. So that might help Kelsey a little bit. So it's not just a bunch of random songs being sent. But yeah, we can do that at the end of the call. So just stay tuned and I'll share that with everybody. Hannah had their hand up first. I'm going to unmute you.
I'm unmuted. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, I'm Hannah Fairlight from Nashville.
Hi.
God, now that I'm unmuted, I'm sweating like I stole something. I feel very, woo. Everything's fine over here. I'm very excited about this. I'm intrigued. I will share that I'm an indie artist. I'm 39. I've been doing it playing out for 20 years. I was based in New York City for 10 years, and then now I've been in Nashville 11. I love what I do, and I want more out of it, which is what I heard in your story originally, Kelsey. Like, the live music industry is still a mystery to me. I love playing live and connecting with fans that way. And I love selling my music one vinyl record at a time. But I am peeling back the layers of like what else can I do and how can I get more ears on my music? And sync licensing has been this like mystical thing that I've wondered about for years, and I'm finally taking some action trying to figure out how to connect the dots. It is my understanding that artists should have an agency, and go through that agency should then find companies like you. Is that what we do, or do we? Should I be? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My first recommendation normally for people like you who haven't even dipped their toe into it, or anybody who's maybe struggling with getting their music into the hands of people who will sync it, is to use a third party pitcher. You call it third party pitcher if you don't want to sign a publishing deal with somebody and you don't want to sign a master deal with somebody, then instead you can engage a third party pitcher. Ideally, you could even have all three going on, right? Depending on your contracts. And the idea is that you have somebody who is a pitcher who already has relationships with people like me in the industry. And so they already have a direct line. They know I'm going to open up their emails. They know I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to the music that they send me. And you want those people to be pitching your music. And so you submit your music to those people. And there's so many of these companies, and they're always reviewing submissions because they always want to make money. And what is important here is, unless you're signing with somebody huge like Cobalt or something like that, that you're signing non-exclusive contracts. So really it's like, there's nothing to lose. I'm going to give you my music and you can pitch it. And if it lands, then you get a percentage off of that sync, right? But that's a sync that you probably wouldn't have gotten without them. So by doing a non-exclusive and agreeing to that, it's really kind of a win-win situation. And in that way, you're not like locked into a contract that makes you uneasy. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing that and constantly taking submissions. So I would 100% recommend doing that, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to get your music into the ears of people doing the placements.
That's what I put out a record this last year, and it's very rock and roll. I'm really proud of it. It's AAA. I've never done that before. I had help financially too, which helped me kind of swing with a bigger bat. And I used a distribution company called Creative Entertainment Network. They work with CEN, works with The Orchard and Sony Red. And so that was cool. It was kind of like, okay, a couple rungs up the ladder, like a little bit bigger splash. Actually, the guys from CEN are what put me onto this wonderful forum, which is great. I'm like literally just absorbing as much as I can. But they did a blast with some kind of like I guess you probably receive these. It's like blasts for sync licensing. Like we put forward a chunk of money to blast. I can't remember if we did the full album or if we specified like a few songs. But I'm guessing you get blasts like that all the time. Like, how do you I want to cut
Yeah.
through that noise. I want to cut through the noise.
Right. And so that what's important is that you know that the person that you're giving your music to is the one accomplishing that, right? Like this isn't, it's not your job to cut through the noise. It's their job to cut through the noise.
Okay.
They should have receipts, they should be like, we've placed our artists in this thing and that thing and this thing, right? Like they should have receipts, and you should be able to go to their Instagram or their website and see their successful placements. And I think that's where the only thing that's up to you is picking the right person and picking the right organization to make those pitches, right? That that they have the ear of music supervisors. There's
Can you give
lots of them.
any, can you give any names of ones
Yeah,
that
you have rock music, you said, mostly?
yeah, genre rock. It's very yeahs meets Dead Weather with like a little Lucinda Williams occasionally, but like indie rock.
Okay. Then there's a couple I could say off the top of my head. Cobalt has a smaller arm for One Stop called The Stable. I don't have the website off the top of my head, but if you could look into it, it's called The Stable. It's Cobalt's One Stop arm. That's a really good resource if you can get into there. Like everybody opens Cobalt emails, right? Other smaller places that I've worked with before, there's one called Resonate, RESIN, and then the number 8. I've worked with them before, and they are good at that kind of stuff. Hold on, let me just like poke through my email for a second.
Thank you. I'm taking lots of notes. I really appreciate this.
Yes. Okay, not that. Hold on.
This is great. I'm also going to start a list because we've had so many music supervisors on. I'm going to start a list of agencies that have been recommended, and then we'll
Yes.
post it on our socials and our website
Great.
soon.
Great. Yeah. Another smaller one that does a lot of rock is the Music Playground. I've worked with them before.
Nice.
Yeah, there's so many small ones. There's one called Sweet on Top. I also really like working with, what is that one called? Hold on. I could go through this all day.
I'm here for it.
There's one called, oh wait. Okay, there's Hauler Music Group, HAULER. Oh, there's one called Rare Form through a company called Black Sheep. That one is interesting because Rare Form will do one-stop music, and then Black Sheep is the trailer arm of it, so they'll take the best from Rare Form and trailerize it.
Cool.
So that's like Rare Form X Black Sheep. That one could be a good one. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
We could take up the whole hour just going through people.
I want to.
That's probably
If
a
you have
good.
any more, Kelsey, you could email me and I'll add them to that list that I'm compiling.
Yeah.
If you find any more later that you forgot.
Yeah, I would, as long as you have a place to start, and you submit to these people. Oh yeah, somebody said I just had one of my artists signed a Music Playground, great company. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Thank you, humble guys. Oh, and thanks for checking out the Fever video. Yeah, it's spicy. I appreciate that. Yeah, I can't believe I'm as far into my career as I am and haven't peeled back this layer previous. But I did play
Definitely.
I played bass on a song that's on the Pitch Perfect 3 soundtrack, which I was in the movie. And so getting that window, that peek into like the royalties world and getting royalties from just playing bass on one song has been huge. So I've been like trying to build on that.
Yeah. So something to note, and I think is beneficial to everyone, you will get royalties off of films, TV shows, etc. You do not get royalties off of trailers or promos.
Ooh, noted. Okay, that's
Yeah.
huge. Thank you.
That's part of the reason why our fees are so much larger is because you have no potential for back end. So the fees that are paid out by trailers, promos, ads are much larger than film and TV, taking that into account. So that's something to think of as well.
That's cool.
Great.
And
Good.
like, I'm so sorry, just one quick last question. Do artists
Mhm.
get to negotiate? Because I'm like, I'm not even really looking for money. Like I would give my songs for free if like somebody likes them, you know, like
Mhm.
I'm that's not what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for the exposure. Like, does the art, I don't know if you can talk any about
Well,
that
yeah,
part
I
of
mean, placement is always going to get you exposure, right? And that's why it's often great to work with these smaller companies like Sweet on Top or Music Playground, because they're not going to work with you unless they believe in the music, because they're often like a very small operation, right? And they're going to be trying to pitch your music. And these pitchers aren't just pitching to trailers, like their job is to pitch to all media. And they know what to ask for different media. So yeah, absolutely. And you know, that is a discussion you can have with your third party rep. Once you have that conversation, you can say, hey, if there are passion projects by indie filmmakers or maybe film festival rates, like I am totally open to that. I'm totally open to gratis licensing, reduced fee licensing, whatever. That's something that you can absolutely tell your rep.
Cool. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Those are great questions, Hannah. I know there's probably other people here too who are new to sync licensing, and it is a very large world, so it can be overwhelming. We have, I'm just going to put in the chat, we have replays of all of our workshops that we've held over the past couple of years, and there's a search bar at the top. So if you like want to look up just like agency or any like trigger word, and you'll find all of our workshops that we've had with sync agents from agencies who are signing. And so you can look at that as well. That might help a little bit. Cool. I'm gonna bring Tonya. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan and Pandion, for allowing us to have this space. And thank you, Kelsey, also for particularly for your DEI initiatives, your participation in DEI initiatives. I really appreciate that, with so many companies rolling back on that. I too did live music and transitioned into sync. Trying to get my music out there. I have songs, but I also have collaborations with other artists I have one-stop agreements for. A lot of my music, all of my music exactly, is on disco. Um, Most of the artists are people of color, some LGBTQIA.
Mhm. I don't hear sound. Am I the only
Oh, it
one
looks
missing?
like, sorry, it looks like you
Uh,
got muted for a second.
Yeah, Tanya, you're accidentally got muted.
There we
Oh,
go. You're back.
okay.
We heard up until you say you represent a lot of artists that are people of color as well as from the queer community.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I took notes, so I'm looking at my little note so I don't miss anything. Um, okay, people of color, yeah, and yeah, and we're particularly interested in being in the ad space. My
Mhm.
question is, how important is social media presence? Hannah,
Mm.
I'm sweating too, girl. You started something.
Um, so I can only speak to some of the ads I've worked on. For the most part, ads are just about vibe, right? The
Okay.
where social media presence comes into play is if they're working with a brand that was like, oh, we really want to partner with an artist that is of this identity that maybe has this kind of following and blah blah blah. That's often going to be a little bit more specific and a little bit more expensive, like higher end ads. But most of the time, my experience on ads and like, listen, I'm not an expert. It's kind of just about vibes. A lot of
Okay.
times that is, yeah, that's the way it goes. It's just like what is going to sell this product the best.
Awesome.
You could think about the artist collaborations. Hot Cheetos did like that one big collaboration with I forget what artist. Like those are the big collaborations they're doing. But other than that, no, I just don't think that the music supervisor is going to be checking social media following before they pitch a song.
Okay. And do you, I know you have the website, but do you like reach out to the people who have gone to your website and let them know you're looking for a particular thing, or do you just comb through what you have?
So it depends on what I get submitted. So the submission form goes straight into my inbox, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, and if I super like what I'm hearing, then I'll reach back out, or you'll get thrown onto another list with like I'm a big Excel doc kind of girly. So, you know, I like to store contact information. I make notes, oh, has this type of music or whatever, and then I may not even need to use that contact for a year, you know.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind too. A lot of times music supervisors are opening these things, listening, reading, and they may not utilize it for a long time because they don't need to at the moment, you know.
But there's no brief list or anything like that.
I do have a brief list, but I have it very specific. Like, there's people I send for briefs for authentic vintage, and there's people I send to briefs for one-stop affordable singer-songwriter, right? I have very specific briefs, and I only utilize them on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, it's just kind of up to my discernment whether or not I add people to my brief list.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your question. We're running a little bit low on time. I'm going to bring Marcus on for a question. We'll see if we get time for the next question, but if not, feel free to reach out to me with any leftover lingering questions, and maybe Kelsey, I could just email them to you and
Yeah,
you wouldn't
for
mind.
sure.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to bring Marcus on then to ask his question here.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm being lazy in the bed today. Thank you, Jordan, and thank you, Kelsey and Pan Bam. Question: I know on your site, there's a lot of ways to submit, like Spotify.
Mhm.
So I do trailer music, and a lot of the trailerizations I don't release. Actually, a lot of music in my catalog period I don't release on streaming
Yeah.
platforms.
Mhm.
Do you accept disco links or playlists?
Yeah, so just
Okay.
just via my submission form. If it's something
Okay.
that's not released on Spotify, you can just put it in that. I'm just
Okay.
gonna double
Okay.
check that that's functioning correctly before I tell all you guys to do that. Yeah, just include it in the body of the message, the link.
And
That should be
bonus
fine.
question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a song that you have wanted trailerized that hasn't been trailerized yet?
Oh,
And if so,
always.
can
Yeah,
I have
there's
that
lots.
list?
Yeah, you gotta pay good money for that list. Yeah, I mean, like, there's loads of songs that we want trailerize. Most of the time, if you want to
Mhm.
be cutting edge and you want to be fresh when it comes to trailerizations, you need to be looking towards the up and coming artists, like artists that are just breaking, because any artists that are established or have already been trailerized to high hell thousands of times. And so there's not really any need for new trailerizations, and if there was, the supervisor would just hire a new composer. So what is most exciting is to trailerize artists that are just starting, right? Like maybe they have one album out and one of their songs went viral. Great. Trailerize something from them, because I guarantee the other big guys aren't doing it yet, right? So it behooves you to kind of stay on top of like releases and what's hot and what people are liking. And trailerizing those really fast is what I would recommend.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you, Marcus. I'm gonna ask Kelsey, do you have, I'm gonna share our disco submission link. Is there like a theme or vibe that you are looking for or just want to put out there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much this like this is how specific things get, but I don't know how much this would apply to the people in this group, but I am looking for some industrial rock a la Nine Inch Nails, a la kind of like Iggy and the Stooges. You can kind of go into almost like an underworld direction, like industrial rock, moody, slightly scary, is something that I never have enough of, because there's not a lot of that out there that's sync
Cool.
friendly. So that would be great. If for reference, you can look at which trailer that I just did that have something like that. For reference, I use that a lot for Walking Dead franchise trailers. Is that kind of music is conducive to. So that would be my comp So if you guys
Great.
have anything like that, that would be great.
Cool. Amazing. Yeah. And so everybody, if you haven't used our Disco submission links yet, you can click on that and submit through Disco. Just one song, fully mixed and mastered, please, because this would be essentially, we want this ready to go for Kelsey or any other music supervisor. And Kelsey, I'll send you the link once we've compiled the songs.
Okay, great.
Cool. Yeah, and
Yes.
since we've got a hard stop today, so I'm gonna hold off on this last question. Sorry. VK Lynn looked like they had a question. But yeah, if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to email us. I'm gonna put in our email there. And I can send that over to Kelsey or if
Yeah.
you're able
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. Absolutely. I just got to jump to a client call, but yeah, I'm
No
sorry to have to
No worries.
bail.
No, totally fine. We appreciate you being here today, especially under the current circumstances, and thank you everybody for joining. Next week we're running slightly different structure for our workshop starting this month. So we have different themes. We've got music industry insights, meet and greets, things like this, what we're leading today. We're also going to start doing community conversations. So that will be more like peer-to-peer discussion about themes and things going on in the industry with everybody. And that will be led by actual community members, along with Pandion representatives. We'll also do community listening sessions, which we'll have one of those at the end of this month. So stay tuned for that one. That will be, you can submit a song, we can all listen and share feedback. And then we'll also start doing college edition workshops to come later this year, where we'll have actual college students who are in music degrees helping lead the workshops. So next week, we've got a community conversation with Jared Alua. Some of you might know he's in our community. So if you want to sign up for that, just go to our website and you can register for free. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Kelsey, for being
Thank
here.
you guys.
Hopefully see you next week. Stay well. Take care of yourselves.
Yes, take care of yourselves. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. See you soon.